One of my proudest moments as a feminist is when I didn't hook up with a guy who came over to explicitly hook up. That's when I knew I finally made it to the next level of this video game of decentering men. So, I've been like a feminist for like as long as I can remember. I was raised by a single mom. How can I not be on some level, right? I literally saw firsthand that you don't need men and that they actually make your life worse, usually. By the way, I'm in a like tiny French village. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this graveyard thingy. I have done everything I've ever wanted to do. Okay, sorry, I just gotta show you all stuff. I was a whitewater raft guide, a climbing guide, canoe guide, outward bound instructor. I worked in the film industry. I've traveled by myself all over. I have been taking care of myself my whole life. I've been a raw feminist, blah. But I didn't know how to do it with men, not in the bedroom, and especially not in romantic relationships, which is why I just didn't date. It's really easy to be a feminist when you're not dating men. You know what I mean? Or even hooking up with men. But if you are a cishet woman and involved with men in any way, the most challenging way to be a feminist, the hardest place to be a feminist is in your personal relationship with your dad, with your brothers, with your uncle, with your grandpa, with your coworkers, your male friends, but especially the men that you let in your bed, and especially if you're like actually dating them and married to them. So when I was on my Tinder bender, I had guys coming over all the time and just brown chicken, brown cow, and that's all we did. Didn't want to date them, wanted literally no relationship because, at a certain point you realize, especially for me in my 40s, you got to convince me to date you. Like, I'm just corny burnt. I get all my intimacy and my emotional needs met from my community and the women in my life. I don't really need dudes. And if they're not adding to my life, then thanks. Just come over for a good time. Brown chicken, brown cow. Then bye-bye. Right? We've been told all along that we got to convince men to date us. No! They should be convincing us to date them. So anyway, there's definitely a few times where I was like, flirting with some guys, and they showed up, and I'm like, pictures were a little misleading, but okay. But I remember one guy came over. This is when I had after a year after I moved to France, and I'd had some of the best schmags of my life, and all the men were so beautiful that I'd hooked up with. I couldn't even believe that men wanted to hook up with me, which is another reason why, hey, you don't ever hit a wall. I mean, we know that men will they will screw dead bodies, right? So even if I'm not all that, doesn't seem to matter. Anyway, he came over and I just was like, And I remember being in such a debate, come on, Melon, he came all the way over here, blah, blah, blah. That codependency voice, right? That indoctrination in patriarchy, being raised by a king baby, having, men traumatizing me so much that I am terrified of saying no. But this dude was really sweet. We had a really good conversation. And then I went into that, well, maybe I should just bone him because he's nice, right? If I'm not going to do it because I'm actually interested in him, the other part of my brain is well, at least, give him a reward for being a good guy. No. If I'm not attracted to you and I don't have a desire to, if I do it anyway, and this is what I thought in that moment, if I do it with him anyway, I'm going to hate myself. And I'm not willing to pay that price anymore. I'm not doing it. I'm not willing to pay the price of losing my self-respect, my dignity, feeling ashamed, feeling guilty, feeling gross. Not because I had schmags with a stranger. I love doing that, but because I did it for him, not for me, literally to make him feel better. And that is a big, big, big hurdle in my decentering men journey. But it was honestly one of the most empowering moments in my life was when I caught myself saying, well, you probably should just, and I stopped myself and I said, no, ma'am, we're not doing that anymore. Yeah, you could probably get off. Seems like a really sweet guy who would be interested in your pleasure. And I met him on one of those apps that's more like alternative, where you can peg and stuff, right? Very progressive man, and we already talked about him centering my pleasure. So I knew I'd get off, but I don't want to do it with him. And I was like, I'm really sorry, but I'm just not feeling great. I wasn't I'm not attracted to you. I'm not going to be a jerk. But I was like, I'm really sorry you came over here. You're really You're a really nice guy. Enjoy talking to you. But I just realized I'm not in a good place to do this right now. And he was like, okay. I was so proud of myself because honestly, there's not much, there's nothing worse than feeling like a hypocrite. And for so long, I was like such a strong woman, letting men walk all over me, doing things in bed with men that I didn't want to do because I felt like I owed it to them. I didn't want them to feel bad. I centered whatever, manipulation tactic. My codependency always won. I'm not saying that sometimes men weren't like super manipulative, but a lot of times it was my own voice saying, well, just fill in the blank, right? Just no more. I'm done having my confidence pay the price of protecting men's feelings or even just the slightest bit of rejection. No,